FIVERR, Opto, Vca, veri-mu. You might be wondering what type of compressors those are and how to use them within your track so that you get a glued, nice, powerful, soulful punch track. And today that's what we're gonna get into, compressors. What's going on? It's your boy David from TrueBlastMixing.com, and if this is the first time watching my channel, thank you, bienvenido, welcome. Here's where I teach you how to become a better at-home mixing and mastering engineer so that you can learn how to dial in solid, hard-hitting, badass rocking mixes. Before we get into the lesson, make sure to click that subscribe button now for weekly videos, tip, tricks, and techniques. Make sure to comment down below on what you learned in this video today, because you'll remember 50% of the information you just watched. That's a lot, and I really want you guys to get this so that later on in the future you guys don't have trouble with it. Today I'm going to go over the 4 types of compressors so that you learn how to use them within your tracks correctly so that you can achieve that type of glued, smooth, well-rounded professional sound and no longer be confused about what a FET, Opto, how to use a VCA, where to use a veri-mu, and all that groovy great stuff. So with that being said, let's get right into it. Now, before I start this video, I want to let you know that you can use anything you want on your signal or tracks. You can use an Opto, you can use a VCA, a veri-mu, or any type of compressor you see fit to achieve whatever it is that you want. What's important here is making it sound good and how it's supposed to. If you use 9 different compressors, but you get the correct sound that you wanted and it works well within the mix, then that's what it took. There's no right or wrong in mixing as long as you make it sound good, how it's supposed to, and banging. But when you have the correct information and knowledge about these types of compressors, it's easier to get the sound, tone, and character that you're going for. There are many ways to bake a cake, but if you learn to cook the basic recipe down, every other way is easy because you rock the basics so well. That applies here also. Okay, so there are 6 different types of compressors. 2 of them I won't talk about as much because there really isn't so many of them out there, but just to name a few, there is a PWM and the diode bridge compressor. The Chandler Zener is a diode bridge, also the Neve 2254, which Waves made its own version of with the V-Comp. And a PWM compressor would be a Pi compressor. Also, Waves made their own version, and the Great River 500. But although these last 2 types of compressors are rare, they still can be categorized under the 4 types and differ slightly from the internal components and how they react and process the signal. But we're here to focus on the main 4, which are the FET, VCA, Opto or optical, and veri-mu, which is short for variable mu, and the mu is a slang term, I guess, for gain. And what we have right here are the main 4, so let's start with the FET. The FET compressor is the most popular out of all these 4 because they work well with almost everything. And the one which takes the crown is the 1176, which was originally made by Yuri. I think that's how you pronounce it. U-R-E-I, Yuri? Yeah. And since it works so well, everybody started getting their hands on them. Being the studio standard, home studios use these a lot, and almost every single plugin company has its own version of it. But why is a FET compressor a go-to for everything? They have quick transient response time and tame aggressive dynamic sources like drums, heavy guitars, percussion, and super aggressive vocals. Not only that, they work very well with parallel compression. They work by passing audio through a field effective transistor, hence the term FET, and give you a bright, punchy, colorful sound, which can be really useful in percussive instruments. So let me show you a quick example. I have right here a simple drum beat and the blue stripe version of the 1176 from Universal Audio. I'm also going to show you the blackface version from Waves, but what I want you to listen for is the differences that each compressor has and how the signal reacts to each version of it. Now let's try the blackface. Comment down below on the differences you heard between the two. Next, we have the Vca compressor. The Vca compressor has to be one of my favorites because of what they do to a bus or a mix bus. They tend to use a IC chip transistor, which gives you the desired effect you're looking for, but when used correctly, the Vca compressor can give you a glued together character like the famous SSL comp, or give you massive punch, grit, and attitude on your drums with the DBX 160. True power and skill come from these compressors because they let you adjust every single parameter and take total control of the attack, ratio, release, threshold, tone, and even knee. Not using the VCA correctly can cause your mix very serious damage and emotion, power, punch, and even money. So let's check out two of my most recent favorite VCA compressors right now, which is a Townhouse and the DBX 160. Again, what I want you to listen for is what they do to the sound, how they change the tone, the character, the punch, the attack, everything, so that when you use these, you have an idea of where to place them correctly so that your mix rocks and really shines through everything else. Cool, now let's listen to the DBX 160. Already, right from the get-go, there's punch. I haven't even done anything to it and there's punch already. I love this goddamn compressor. Right out the get-go, punch. I'm gonna show you what happens when I bring it down to threshold number 1. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Look at that. Little pumping. That kick comes in. Rocking this shit. Badass fucking compressor. Let me bring it down to 3. And but there's still that punch in there. There's a lot of punch. I love this right here. Love it. Comment down below on the differences you heard between the two. Cool. So next on the list is the optical compressor, or the Opto compressor. Optical compressors are my favorite on vocals or anything that needs smooth, gentle attenuation, meaning reduction, because that's what they do. Optical compressors use different light sensor sources or photocells to control how much gain reduction is applied. They aren't super fast, but they aren't slow either. That's why they're perfect for acoustic guitars and vocals, and the release time is decent. For example, the harder you hit or the more signal you send to an optical compressor, the quicker the initial release time can be, but the slope back to normal uncompressed sound will not fall in a linear fashion. It will be sloped. So for example, if the compressor gives you a negative dB 14 of gain reduction, the first 7 will release quicker than the other ones. So think of the release time only like a low shelf or high shelf. The flat part is back after the initial attack, and the release, the remaining slope, is slower. So let's check out 2 opto compressors right now, which is the world famous LA2A and the R-Comp by Waves. Yes, believe it or not, the R-Comp is actually 2 compressors in one. It's an electro and an optical compressor. You can actually pick between the two, but this was originally emulated off the LA2A, so it definitely is an optical compressor. The manual says that it's even an optical compressor. And on the plugin itself, it says electro and opto. But I absolutely love the R compressor. It's one of my favorites to use. So let's check those out right now. Let's start with the LA2A. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go up to 50% on the peak reduction. But what I want you to listen for is for that gentleness. It's super gentle. Check it out, here we go. 1, 2, 1. That attack, it's gentle. Let me bring it up a bit. It doesn't grab the transients super hard, and the release is slow. It's not too fast, too slow. Word of advice, when you're using any of the Teletronics or any LA, be very careful, because if you just bring it up by a quarter dB or half a dB or a full dB, you'll make it clip very easily. These things are super sensitive, so be careful when using this on smooth or gentle tracks, because you're gonna make it clip. You're gonna lose some of that character, some of that tone, some of that performance, and that's what you don't want. So use cautiously when setting these on your tracks. Now let's take a listen to the R-Comp by Waves. So what I've done here is I've dialed in some settings so that you can see this in motion and hear it. Cause if I do it on the fly as the drum beat plays, you're gonna be mostly distracted in seeing how I dial in the tone as opposed to hearing it. So what I've done is I've set the threshold to a -10. The ratio is a 4:1. The attack is super quick, but I've selected Opto up here. So that puts it in Opto Compressor mode. The release is really slow, and I've done a 1 dB of gain. And what I want you to listen for is the attack. It's like a rounded, smooth attack. As the kick comes in and the snare comes in, you'll hear that instead of a super punch, it's more like a. It's really soft. It's really rounded. That's how I hear it to my ear. So let's check it out. And last but certainly not least is the veri-mu compressors. I love these as well. These types of compressors are tube driven and super slow. So you'll have a lot of harmonics, a lot of warmth, and add color to your sound. And the funny thing about these is that the actual ratio increases with gain, meaning the louder the signal, the louder the transient, the more it compresses. So these work great on buses where you have vocals. acoustic guitars, or even maybe like a smooth background vocals, some like a harmony of vocals, or even like string instruments as well. It brings that element of the string instruments to a much softer musical tone, and wind instruments as well. So that's it's very good for those types of instruments, that type of bus. So we're gonna start with the manly veri-mu and then jump into the Fairchild. But I've dialed in some settings right here again so that you pay attention more to the sound than what's actually going on. But what I want you to hear is how the compressor glues things together. I love the manly compressor because it glues things together really nicely. It's subtle, but you can hear it at the same time, and that's what makes this compressor really, really awesome in my personal opinion. So we're gonna start off with that one and let's check it out. So all I'm gonna do in this example is just bypass it off and on, and I want you to listen to the glued effect, all right? So here we go. Let's get it in, and 1, 2, 1, 2. See, it's tighter, it's glued. Listen to the kick. On. Now the manly is mostly used in a mastering scenario, but you can use it any way you want. But the Fairchild almost has the same characteristics, but there's its own tone. For me, it's a little punchier, and all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna adjust the release time so that you can hear that punch, the tone, and the character that the Fairchild 670 brings. That's why they love it a lot. I like it a lot too. So let's check it out. So there you have it. Now you know the 4 different types of compressors and how to use them correctly, and with the type of tone, sound, and character to achieve whatever it is that you're trying to go for. Also, if you're a local band or artist who wants to mix absolutely for free, you can hit me up in the link down below and we can get that started. Why? Because I like to help individuals, man. It's what I do. If you like these videos, make sure to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell so that you never miss any of my weekly videos. You can also follow me on Instagram somewhere around here. I think it's on this side. And you can contact me directly through there if you have any questions that you didn't get from this video. So with all that being good and said, keep rocking, keep mixing. I'll see you guys later. True Blast out.